Well, hello there, everybody. How are you? Peace be with you and also with you. How have you been all week? I've missed your faces. I'm so glad to see you again. I hope you're having a great morning so far. If you will look, Jesus is sitting up there right behind me. He's watching over us. Hey, today I have something special to show you. I have right here a letter. Do you know what a letter is? A letter usually comes in the mail, right? Usually the mailman brings it, or sometimes the FedEx driver. But it comes in the mail, and it usually comes in some kind of envelope, and it has some writing on it. In this corner over here, it has the name and the address of the person who sends it to you. And down here in the center, it has the name and the address of the person who's supposed to get it. Now, the address is the name of the street that you live on and your house number, and also the town that you live in, which is probably Lexington. And there's a little 4 numbers right here called the zip code, and that helps the postman know where to deliver it. Now, one thing that's missing from this letter is a stamp. The postage stamp goes right up here. So once you get your letter written and you put it in the envelope, put your stamp on it, seal it up real good. See how there's a flap in the back? Put a little water on that or lick it or whatever and seal it up real good. And then you put it in the outgoing mail in your mailbox, put the flag up, or take it to the post office, and the mailman will deliver it to whoever's name is right here. And if it gets lost or something, he'll send it back to this person right here and let them know. So I've written this letter to you. So let's open it up and see what it says. Here's the paper inside. And here's the paper with the writing on it. Would you like me to read it to you? It says, "Dear friend, I love you. I hope you are well. Have a good summer. Your friend, Miss Peggy." What do you think about that? That is a letter that I've written to you. And what do I need to put on it to make it go in the mail? Because the mailman will not take it without a postage stamp. So I need to get a postage stamp and lick it and put it on there, right? Okay. So do you know what the sign language word is for letter? You want to guess? It's so easy and so simple. It's this. That is the sign for letter. You pretend you're licking a stamp and putting it on your envelope. Sometimes they do it this way too. There's a lot of different ways you can do sign language. There's several different ways. There's older ways, and it kind of changes as time goes by, and then there's different ways for different places. So if you're doing something like that, it's probably right. Or if you see someone do it a little bit different, that doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just a different way to do it, just like some people talk different than others. So our story today just happens to be about a letter. There was a man who was one of Jesus' disciples, whose name was Paul. Do you remember Paul? So Paul's job, just like all the other disciples, was to let everybody know about God's love, just like that's our job. So this story is about the letters that Paul wrote. Now back then, when Paul was alive, we didn't have papers and envelopes like this. Paul wrote his letter, all of his letters, on something called a scroll. Can you see the picture of the scroll? So it's a big sheet of paper, and he wrote on it, and then he would roll it up into like a paper towel holder almost. And he would give it to somebody, and they would deliver it. They would probably get on their horse or whatever, and they would deliver it to whoever it was supposed to go to. So that's what the letters were like in those days. They've changed a lot. So Paul liked to write letters. When he couldn't see people and he couldn't be with people that he cared about or that he wanted to give a message to, he would write a letter instead of being able to see them. Just like nowadays we call somebody on the phone or we do FaceTime with them. You know, mommy, daddy text, maybe you text too, I don't know. But there's lots of different ways now to talk to somebody who's not close to you. But back then, about the only way to do it was to write a letter. So the story today goes like this. Paul's job as an apostle was to tell the story of Jesus to everyone he met. He traveled all over his part of the land and started many new churches with people who believed in Jesus. When Paul could not travel to visit his friends in Rome, he wrote them a letter to share God's love. Do you want to hear what Paul's letter said? Here's what it says. It said, "Dear Christians in Rome, there are 3 things I tell people who have never heard of Jesus or God. Number 1, Jesus was human. He was a person like you and me, but he was also God, both at the same time. Jesus came so people in the world would know how much God loves us. Believing in Jesus and knowing God's love changes your life. Everyone should know this good news. Everyone. Are you telling people the good news too? Peace be with you," he says at the end. Love, Paul. So he had 3 things to tell these people, and he wrote this in his letters. Number 1, Jesus was a person like us, and he was God at the same time. Number 2, Jesus came so that people in the world would know how much God loved them. That was his whole reason for being here. And number 3, believing in Jesus and knowing God's love will change your life. Isn't that awesome? I wonder how people felt when they received a letter from Paul. I wonder what Paul felt like as he was writing the letters. Do you know what it's like to get a letter from someone? How do you think your friends would feel if they got a letter from you? Have such a wonderful week and enjoy the weather because I think it's going to be nice. I hope you guys get to do lots of fun things this week, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. I love ya.